That worked. Oh, welcome to another Cherokee video on the channel. Had a bunch of stuff with my daily driver that I had to take care of. Some maintenance things, some interesting issues that came up. I ended up going to Hoist House twice for a cooling system problem. Roof started leaking, death wobble. So I'm going to get as much of that done in this video as humanly possible. So stick around, let's get to it. We got a tiny break in the rain, so I'm just going to go ahead and put some 200-mile-an-hour tape on it just to seal the area up for now. I can't figure out where the leak is coming from. It dried up enough that I can't feel it. I don't believe it's coming from the sunroof, but I'll do more investigating when it's not going to rain for the next 2-3 days. Yes, this stuff is going to probably peel paint off, but it's a small price to pay if I don't have it leaking into the car for the next couple days until I can get out here and actually figure out what's going on. The Cherokee did have a leak when I first got it, and it was relatively in the same spot. It's actually leaking into the roof structure. I thought I'd sealed it all up, but it has been 2 years, so probably rusted out more. I don't want to have to pull the whole headliner. Worst case, I'll just come in here, pull this trim off, and just gut all the extra sealant and put a new layer in, see how it goes. So you drive to and from No Name all that time on the highway at speed. I think it just peeled some of the sealant up that I had in there. But that is a guesstimation at this point. I should be able to figure out in the next couple days what actually happened. Even if I can't, I'm just going to go ahead and seal it back up and hope for the best. I'll check the sunroof and all that stuff. But weather's sealed. And watch, it's going to be leaking from the other side, and I'm just going to waste all that tape. But, well, you never know. Also, I find myself actually doing work at Hoist House. They were nice enough to allow me to zip in here because I know they're getting busier, which is awesome for them. I'm going to go ahead and use some of their tools, some of the stuff I brought with me. I ended up getting a flatbed because everything I'm going to do is going to be right here other than a drain pan. Definitely would be taking advantage of the hoist if I didn't need to do everything right here, basically hand height. So I'm going to start getting to work and show you progress as I go. I like these stance style pressure relief caps, so it's probably not a good thing that there's no pressure. Let's see what's in here. Oh, it's foamy. Yeah, definitely been losing coolant, which isn't good. I could have some more problems than just what I'm assuming. Got to start somewhere. I highly doubt you're going to be able to see this, but the power steering line actually it's been gently rubbing through the lower radiator hose. That's likely most of my problem. It's been acting like the thermostat's stuck open, but yeah, I'm going to have to replace this for sure. Hoist House has a deal with the local auto parts stores, so they should be able to get the part delivered. He's going to check on the availability and price for me for the lower radiator hose for Cherokee, because that might be my only problem. That'd be fantastic. I'll have to make some kind of guard so it doesn't happen again. It's wearing through. It must have been doing it very slow. I use a fail-safe thermostat, and they act the same way when they fail open. It never lets the car heat up technically, so that's what I was assuming was happening, because that's the same exact symptoms I had before when they fail. So if it's only the little radiator hose, that'd be great. That means I don't have to replace the thermostat, which would be awesome. I'll let you know a little bit. While waiting for the hose, I figured I'd check out this sweet little thing beside me. It's a Vanagon from the 80s. Very much VW cool. It is a manual 4x4 with some of the factory camping stuff still in there. It's definitely due for a restoration, but it's a very sweet piece. Has a brand new top that just installed in it. And also pop a couple of things free as I'm waiting for the hose. I want to make sure it's the right size, but I can take this stuff off. It just makes it easier to get to the hose. It's easier to take the lower radiator hose off if you have the air box off. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I'm also going to unbolt the lower air box and bring that as well. Not like assuming you're going to do one repair and have to do something completely different. Not that big a deal at the end of the day. It's technically a little easier in theory. In theory. Leaves. I'm going to go ahead and loosen the 3 retaining bolts and pull the lower air box. Box out. The new hose just came in from Riley. It is the correct one, so I'm going to go ahead and start turning the one out and get the new one in. Good times. I just put this hose in a few months ago on the channel, so I don't know. Just a rinse and repeat, unfortunately. I'm really glad I put the hose clamp so I could actually get to them, though. That was a good idea. Get this clamp, and I can slowly pull the hose off, drain out what food I have to, and get this buddy moving again. Now it's time to get messy. This hose hasn't been on there for more than a couple months, so hopefully it's not going to be too horrible to get off. Oop. Oh, good. Actually, I have the drain pan mostly where it needs to be. Let's let it drain out a little slower. Let it drain out a bit. I don't want to completely ruin their floor. If I can help it, we'll be doing some cleanup. The petcock drain for this radiator is rock solid, and I'm afraid I'm going to break it if I try to move it, and I don't want to replace the radiator, so unfortunately I have to do it the crappy way. But someone brought the light in the first video where I replaced the thermostat and the water pump in the dead of winter. I'll link it somewhere. Okay, well, it wasn't too bad. Old hose, new hose. I'll show you old hose damage after I get the new hose in, but they match. Just spray everything off, a little brake clean, and I'll throw the new hose on. Thankfully the hose went on quite easily, so I'm just going to tighten up the clamps and get filling it. God, I hope that didn't go right in the bucket. It did. Okay, take a short break while I clean this off. Try this again. Okay. Shows where the hose is rubbing on the power steering line, so I'll definitely be shielding that. I'll do that once I get home. I don't want to tie up their area anymore than I already have. Making sure the hose clamp is on there evenly. Go down, hose everything off again, and then we'll start filling it with the air box out so I can check for any leaks. Hopefully everything goes smooth and I can get out of here. Everything's tight. I'm going to throw some fluid in it, pull the stopper, and see where we're at. Well, so far so good, so let's keep going. I'm going to go ahead and start the Jeep and see where it's at. Yep. That was a risky run because there's going to be an air pocket in the system, so I'm going to go ahead and run it to the back door so I can run for a while, get it out of their hair. Temp's climbing nicely. Hopefully this is all I need to do to fix it. Well, this part of it. There's still a lot more that I'm going to have to do, but that'll be back at home. Got to pull all kinds of stuff off the Comanche to go on this and the Chandler project, so. Let it burp. It's like watching paint dry. Just to explain a lot, I've already got some heat going, which is nice. It'll be great. I can actually do all the things I need to do in the next couple of weeks. Nothing on the floor underneath. It looks like it's reached a 180 degree operating temperature, so I'm going to let it run for about another 5 minutes. Make sure everything cycles good, and then put the airbox in and go home. Well, I'm going to clean up first. Let's go put this on now while I'm waiting. Still holding good so far. So once I get this all set, I will stop it, put this in there, let it sit for a minute, clean up, and pay the bill. Hopefully I can transfer this to the reservoir without making too big a mess. That's got to be a little bit of a mess. A drop! Just throw everything in the little tote. This top doesn't seal worth a crap, but it does make it a little easier to transport it anyway. Keeps everything in one spot. Everything's cleaned up, bill's paid, and it's time to get the flock out of here. Unfortunately, replacing the damaged hose did not fix my cooling system issues. It did heat up while I was at Hoist House. The minute I got on the road and got it moving, cooling system went right back down and no heat. So I've got it lined up to head back to Hoist House on Friday, which is 2 days for me. And I'll show you the hose and the way I'm going to protect it, and then it's right back to work. I didn't get a chance to show you where the hose is running through when I was at Hoist House. I'll tell you that now. So it sits in there, radiator's here, water pump's here. It started to rub through in a couple spaces where it sits in, was rubbing on the power steering. So I'm going to go ahead and use this old hose, cut it in half, and make it as shield, a rub strip for the new hose. I'll go ahead and put that on when I'm at Hoist House. So I'm going to cut it up now, put all the stuff in the car, and I got it again. Take the thermostat off. I'm just going to show you some of the highlights. You've already seen me do this 1,000 times. So I got a little temp shield on my lower hose. And it should be cool enough now to pull the thermostat out. Yeah, it did fail open. That's what these fail-safe thermostats do. They fail and retract, where the other ones, standard ones, actually fail closed. Very glad I'm back here doing this, because there's no way I could do this weekend without heat. I get all this crap off. I normally just throw these away and get new ones, but I don't have time or the money right now, so clean it up. This is Dustin from Hoist House. If anybody would like to use their services in the Metro Detroit area, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you again?
I would say either book a bay on our website or via phone call 248-835-1050, or feel free to stop in 1150 Naughton Rd in Troy.
Thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I was finally able to get the Cherokee into the garage so I can try to figure out why the windshield is leaking. Maybe stop putting expensive tape on it to try and seal it, even though this is all temporary. That worked. Weather strip's not happy. Oh yeah, it's crunchy. I hate doing this, but oh yeah, that's just a mess. Start cleaning it up, and as I find fun things, I'll bring you back in. After I unstick myself from the car. Hey, well, I got most of the sticky and glue off, and I guess now I throw this glove away and start really getting into it. It's kind of a complete total friggin' mess up here, which I kind of sort of knew. I just maybe didn't want to admit it. There's actually a hole, which once I get all this stuff brushed out of here, I'll show you. Yeah, it's kind of a little problem. Just a tiny bit. And that hole is kind of a major problem. I'm going to go ahead and tape the area off, tape off the glass, and sand as much of the loose junk and rust off that I can and see what I can do to fill the space. I'm probably going to have to try to panel bond or just hit it with some kind of window sealant, because I really can't do much there, and I'm not dropping the headliner again for this. It's just not worth the trouble, unfortunately. I sent all the loose stuff out that I could. I'm going to blow it off and see what I can see. Yeah, that's pretty bad. I'm going to hodgepodge my way out of this one. I would not recommend this method, but I'm kind of out of options and ideas, so I'm going with what I got. Keep filling it in. Push it in there a little bit. I'm going to give it about 10 minutes to set up, and I'll come back through and put a little bit more in there and just pack it in and turn the heater up and let it set overnight. 50-50 chance it'll work. It's my only real option, so I'm going with it. Figured I had better pull this tape out now. I can always put a little bit of piece back in, but I want to make sure I'm not affecting the seal at the bottom. I just want to make sure that I keep the panel bond away from the windshield, because if I do keep the Jeep for a while, I'd like to be able to put it on a windshield in the worst case, because it is Michigan and stones are a regular everyday occurrence. Rock chips be thy name. It's been drying for about 5 minutes now, and I think it's actually going to be good enough just with the one coat. That'd be awesome. It's less stuff for me to do and less stuff for me to worry about. So I'm going to peel the tape and come back out in about 15 minutes and see what it looks like. A lot of hoping. I had planned on letting this sit out and painting this area with some rust encapsulating paint, but unfortunately I have a doctor's appointment about 6 in the morning tomorrow, so I have to get this back on the road. I'm not comfortable driving the Chambler that early in the morning with that many crazy people not paying attention, so I'd rather drive this thing. Feel safer driving this thing, I should say. I have no idea how well this is going to go back in. Probably going to have to get a hammer. Now let's try not to crack the glass. That should be fun. I have never done this before. So we will see. I have no idea what I'm doing. Ooh, that could have sucked. It's not as bad as I was afraid it was going to be. I'm happy. Oh yeah, I forgot the leader. It's been about 20 hours now since the panel bond was put on last night. It's hard to touch, so I'm going to go ahead and put the seam on top of the fact that I need to go tomorrow morning. Depending on how well this does tomorrow morning, I might not actually put any paint in here now. I might just let it go till the spring. Really depends on how this stuff stays together. I think this seal is going to give me a little bit of trouble right here. No more tomorrow morning. Driven about 100 miles in the last 2 days, and it's been doing good so far. It's extremely windy, and it's going to snow today, so put the camera back as far away from it as I can so it doesn't fall over. It's basically where I'm going to end the video. I'm going to have to do the death wobble issues and some of the other maintenance stuff on the next video with this truck. So, see you next time. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you like, what you don't like. I got a few things I got to do this. I'll see you next week.